Today we'll be discussing about mode. Now, a mode can be calculated by using an inspection method or a grouping table method. Here, I'm going to straight away move on to an illustration. We are going to calculate the mode of a discrete series. So first let us consider an example. Now an example is given here, that is the size of the garment and the number of persons wearing or using that particular size. Now it is clear that by looking at the table you can find out that 65 persons use the size 31. So here 65 is the maximum number or the highest number that is given in the frequency, and the corresponding size of the garment is 31. So 31 is the model size because it appears at the maximum number of time. Now here what I have done is called an inspection method. I haven't used any kind of formula, a particular formula for finding out the mode. So you can either use this method or you can move on to the grouping table method, which as statistician I would say this is much more better than the usual inspection method. Now there are certain steps that is to be carried out while doing the grouping table and analysis method. That is how you name it, grouping table and analysis method. So in a grouping table method, usually there are 6 columns. Okay, now the first column is regarding the frequency and the variable and the tally marks that are given. Then then the second column, what we do is we group the frequencies into 2. The third column, what we do is we leave the first frequency and then group the remaining two frequency. Then the fourth column, what we do is group the frequencies in 3. That is, we take 3 frequency together and we add them up. In column 5, you will leave the first frequency and group the frequencies in 3. And in column 6, what you will do is leave the first 2 frequency and group the remaining 3. Now, when I speak like this or when I explain like this might be a bit confusing for you. So we will move on to an example and see what are the steps. Okay. Now, this is something that we do after grouping, that is we mark the maximum in each column and we will prepare the tally marks. So again, this we will explain it more detailedly when we deal with the problem. Now, this to an example, we have to calculate the mode of the following data that is given. So we are given the marks and the frequency and the corresponding frequency. So by inspection method, it is very much clear that here among the frequency 36 is the highest number. So the model size is, or the model mark is 20. Okay, so but that is only by the inspection method we got this. Now I'm going to apply the grouping table method and let's see whether we are getting the same answer or not. So let's see. Now, as I said, in a grouping method we have 6 columns. Okay, whether it is any problem, any number of variables are given to you, the number of columns will be the same, that is 6. Now the first column, namely the first column, contains the variables, that is x. Now in your case it is marks, then the corresponding frequencies, then a column for a sub-column for the tally marks. Now in the second column and the third column, I have written here grouping by 2. That means you have to group the frequencies by 2. Then 4, 5 and 6 you have to group the frequencies by 3. Now let's move forward to how we will group the frequency. Okay, so we know that here the maximum value in the frequency, that is in the column 1, is 36. So that you just keep that in your mind because that is very important when it comes to the tally marks, which we will deal at the end of this problem. Now let's have a look at the column 2. Okay, so column 2, I have clearly stated that it is grouping by 2. So what I'm going to do is I will group the first two frequencies, that is 8 and 12. So 8 plus 12, I write it over here as 20. So when I write 20, make sure that you should write it somewhere in between the 8 and 2. Okay, so it will be very much helpful at the last stage when you write your whatever you get after grouping. If you write it like this, it will be very much helpful. So as I said, I have grouped 8 and 12 because since it has demanded as grouping by 2, I have done that. Then my next two frequencies are 36 and 35. I have grouped that also, and I got 71, so I have written it in between 36 and 35 somewhere over here. Then 28 and 18, I have written it somewhere over here, again that is 46. Now what about 9? So since I don't have any other value after 9, I won't be grouping 9 with any number. I will leave 9 as it is. Okay, so that is how you fill up the second column. Now we will move on to the third column, is to see how you have to do the third column. Now in the third column also you have to group by 2, but the only thing is that you have to leave this first frequency. You should not take this first frequency into account. So I leave a space over here. I consider 12 and 36. So 12 and 36 gives me 48. So I have to write 48 somewhere in between 12 and 36. Then I will have to group 35 and 28. 35 and 28 gives me 63. So I write it somewhere over here. Then I have to group 18 and 9, that I get it as 27. So I write it over here. So this is how I fill column 2 and column 3. Now let's move on to 4, 5 and 6. Now you have to be very careful. 4, 5 and 6, it demands grouping by 3. Okay, so till now 2 and 3 was what? Grouping by 2. Now you have to group by 3. Now let's see how we will fill 4, 5 and 6. Now in the case of 4, fourth column, when you group by 3, I have taken 8, 12 and 36, where I get 56. So I have to write 56 somewhere in middle of these three numbers, which I think it is alongside 12. So I write it somewhere over here. Then next three numbers are 35, 28 and 18, that I get it as 81. So I wrote it somewhere over here. Then I get something as 9. So 9, I don't have anything to pair with 9, so I just leave some space over here. Okay, so that is how I just filled up what? The column 4. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up column 5. Now in column 5 you have to be very careful. You have to group by 3, plus what you have to do? Yes, you have to you do not have to consider the first frequency, just leave the first frequency. So leave some space over here, and you consider 12, 36 and 35. So there I get 83. I wrote this 83 somewhere alongside 36. Then you have to group 28, 18 and 9, that I get it as 55. So I just write it somewhere alongside 18. Okay, that is how I fill column 5. Then next what I have, yeah, you have one more column remaining, that is sixth column, the final column. Now in the final column what you have to do is instead of leaving the first frequency alone, you have to leave the first and the second frequency. So both these frequencies are not taken into consideration. We are asked to group by 3. So what I'm going to do, the next three numbers I'm going to group it. 36 plus 35 plus 28, I get 99, which I write 99 alongside this 35. Okay, then the next I have is 18, 9, but since I don't have any other value, I can't group this by 3, so I just leave this 18 and 9. Okay, now that is how I get 99. Now all the columns are filled. Now let's go for the analysis. Now see what I have done. In column 1 under the frequencies, I know that the maximum number comes as what, 36. So I marked it as 36 as red. If you want, you can just draw around like this. That is what you will do in your answer sheets. Then in group 2, just find out which is the maximum. It is 71. Column 3, it is 63. Column 4, 81. Column 5, 83, and column 6, it is 99. So this is how I mark the maximums. Now here I have marked it in red. Now my duty is to fill the tally column, which I have already filled, but I will show you how I fill this. Okay, now let's see. First I will have to look for what 36. Okay, now this first column. In the first column I have a maximum as 36, so I just give it as 1, a 1 tally mark over here. Then I go to column 2. In column 2 my maximum is 71. You have to check which all numbers make 71. Okay, which all frequencies helps you to get 71. So it is very easily found out that by adding up 36 and 35 you get 71. So you can mark 1 over here and 1 over here. Okay, then next you move on to column 3. There you have 63. Now you just check which numbers add up and make 63. Okay, so corresponding to this, yes, I have 35 and 28. Now I can mark here 1, 1. Now in the fourth column you will find out 81. Now corresponding to 81, find out those values. Now here it is grouping by 3, so you will have 3 values, that is 35, 28 and 18. So you give 1, 1, 1. Okay, then 83. 83 also you have 3 values. Corresponding to 83 you have 12, 36 and 35. So you give 1, 1 and 1 again. Then the final is 99. Now corresponding to 99, what all values add up to 99? 36, 35 and 28. So you give again 1, 1, 1, and you find out which number or which variable got the maximum tally marks. So in this case we have the maximum tally marks over here, that is 5, and the corresponding modal mark is what, 25. So the corresponding modal value is 25, or the modal mark as you say. Okay, so that is how you find out. And this was a discrete series. Now let's have a look what happens when you have a continuous series. So in the case of a continuous series, you can find out the modal value by the inspection method or by the grouping table and analysis table method. Okay, now you have to determine the value of the mode by, after that you have to determine the value of the mode by applying this formula. Okay, now this is a formula, and this formula you have the lower limit L of the modal class. After completing the table you have to apply this formula. Okay, so in a discrete scenario it was just the table, but in a continuous case it is the table plus this formula. Okay, then you have F1, F2 and F0. Now let's find out what is F1. F1 is the frequency of the modal class, F0 is the frequency of the class preceding the modal class, and F2 is the frequency of the class succeeding the modal class, and I is the class interval of the modal class. Okay, so let's have a look at the problem, then you will understand it more better. Now here you have given the weight of certain people, and some classes are given over here, starting from 100 to 110 to 170 to 180, and the corresponding frequencies are also given over here. So by the inspection method, I think this is the maximum number of people. The maximum number of people have a weight around 140 to 150. So by inspection method, this is the modal class. Now let's have a look. Now let's try out our group table method. Now this is the group table method. Now in this I'm not going to the similar way what we have done in the with the discrete case. The same method itself I'm following over here. So the first column I have written all the x, then that is the classes, then f, that is the corresponding frequency, then you have the tally. 2 second column is the grouping by 2. So what I have done over here is I grouped 4 and 6, I got it as 10. Then I grouped 2 and 32, 52, 33 and 17, 50, 8 plus 2, 10. Then I just, in this third column, what I did is I left the first frequency and grouped 6 plus 20, 26, 32 plus 33, 65, 17 plus 8, 25. With 2, I don't have anyone to pair with, so I just left 2. Then in the fourth column, what I did is I grouped 3 and I got 4 plus 6 plus 20 as 30. Then 32, 33 plus 17 as 28. 8 plus 2 plus I don't have another number to group with, so I just left 8 and 2. Then so on, I just filled this filled all the columns. Now as you can see, I'm going to mark the maximum in each columns. So first, starting with the frequency, this is the maximum. I marked this. Here it is 52. In column 3 it is 65. Column 4 it is 82. Column 5 you have 58 and 58. So there are two maximum numbers over here. Then 6 it is 85. Now what you have to do, the similar way what you have did in a discrete scenario. 33 you have one tally mark. 52 52 means 22, 20 plus 32, so you can mark here 1. 65 means what? 32 plus 33, right? 1 and so on. When it comes to this, what happens, usually there is a slight confusion between which one to take. You have to take both into consideration. Okay, when a scenario like this appears, you have to take both the numbers, both the sets into consideration. That is, this 58 is formed by adding up 6, 20 and 32. So yeah, I have to mark 1 over here, and this 58 I got it by adding 33, 17 and 18. So I have to mark the corresponding tally marks over here. Okay, that is how you have to do. Now that you have filled up all the things in the table, all the required things are filled up. Now you can see that in the tally marks it is 5 and 5 over here for 130 to 140 class and 140 to 150 class. So there are two model weights. Now here this is called as a bimodal series. Now this case, now there may be two frequencies which occur with the equal frequency, and that kind of distribution is called a bimodal. Now here in this case, the mode has to be determined. We haven't determined the mode yet. So in order to determine the mode, it is very simple. You can calculate your median and mean and then substitute in this particular formula, which is called as the empirical formula, which is a very important formula. This also defines the relationship between mode, median and mean. That is, mode is equal to 3 median minus 2 mean. After finding the median and mean of the above problem, just substitute the values over here and find out the mode. Now I have given a table over here so that you can find out the mean and the median, and then you can substitute in the empirical formula. So you can copy down this table. Now I'm not going to explain how to find out the mean and arithmetic mean, which I hope you all know, and which formula you have to use also. It is also known to you, since this is what a continuous series. I hope you know which formula to use. And now you have to find out the median and arithmetic mean by yourself and substitute in this particular formula, so that you will get your mode.